Yeah, good evening, everyone. So, just before we take up a few prayers, couple of prayers, let us just invoke Mother's presence. Share the windows presence. May we all be guided from our darkness to light. So, today I thought we can take up there are two prayers specifically which I wanted to bring our attention to. Some of us may already be aware of it. We have done that in the past also, but we'll do it again. So, two prayers that I want to bring into focus, specifically the word that I want to focus, and of course, everything else, is this forgetfulness of self, which Mother says brings a lot of relief. And how, when there is too much obsessive focus on oneself, it becomes our cause of suffering. But then Mother also says then there is a forgetful ignorance, but she doesn't talk of that, but a kind of not giving too much obsession to what is happening to me, and I did not deserve what is happening to me and why that person did to me. So when me is the center of focus in our life, it brings a lot of suffering. And when we are able to put ourselves in some work where there is a relatively, a self forgetfulness, not too much focus on self, then it brings us peace and relief from that suffering. So two prayers are here which can be seen on this topic, where yeah, one is this one, no, before that even. So this we have taken a lot earlier, November 28, 1912. I thought maybe we can take up this, read that one, and then this one, November 28, 1913. So two prayers here in this topic. Yeah, so let us first go through these two prayers and then we can take reflections. So first we take one prayer, November 28, 1912. If anyone wants to go ahead, please.
Yeah, I can read. Ma'am, is my audio voice clear? Because I have a lot of background noise.
Yeah, it's clear.
So the entire passage?
Yeah, you can read the whole prayer at a stretch. That would be nice.
Yeah, okay. November 28, 1912. The outer life, the activity of each day and each instant, is it not the indispensable complement of our hours of meditation and contemplation? And is not the proportion of time given to each the exact image of the proportion which exists between the amount of effort to be made for the preparation and realization? For meditation, contemplation, union is the result obtained, the flower that blooms. The daily activity is the anvil on which all the elements must pass and repass in order to be purified, refined, made supple, and ripe for the illumination which contemplation gives to them. All these elements must be thus passed one after the other through the crucible before outer activity becomes needless for the integral development. Then is this activity turned into the means to manifest the I'll read that again. Then is this activity turned into the means to manifest thee so as to awaken the other centers of consciousness to the same dual work of the forge and the illumination. Therefore, Are pride and satisfaction with oneself the worst of all obstacles? Very modestly, we must take advantage of all the minute opportunities offered to knead and purify some of the innumerable elements, to make them supple, to make them impersonal, to teach them forgetfulness of self and abnegation and devotion and kindness and gentleness. And when all these modes of being have become habitual to them, then are they ready to participate in the contemplation and to identify themselves with thee in the supreme concentration. That is why it seems to me that the work must be long and slow, even for the best, and that striking conversions cannot be integral. They change the orientation of the being. They put it definitively on the straight path. But truly to attain the goal, none can escape the need of innumerable experiences of every kind and every instant. O Supreme Master, who shinest in my being and each thing, let thy light be manifest and the reign of thy peace come for all. Ma'am, if I can request you to scroll up, I just want to read one sentence there, a little further up, please. More, I think near the top. Yeah. So the highlighted one, all these elements highlighted in yellow, all these elements must be thus passed one after the other through the crucible before outer activity becomes needless for the integral development. And the other one is therefore our pride and satisfaction with oneself the worst of all obstacles. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. So, yes, if anyone has any sharing on this prayer, it's most welcome. So we wonder at times when we look at the events of our life, and if we are truly working on ourselves, we see that we repeatedly, like a spiral, or maybe feels at times like a circle, we keep on coming to the same point again and again, either in our relationships, within our mind, or at workplace. We are in the same situation yet again. You thought that maybe you have transcended some kind of hurt, or now I will not be affected that by that person if he says anything, or any comment or any trigger. But we see that although we may transcend a little bit, but not fully. We see ourselves getting hurt again and again and again. Although we thought that maybe now ho gaya jaise, I'm fixed, I'm over it. So I think this prayer is one of the most, I feel for myself, a very descriptive, like a mantra for one's life. All players are like that. That it takes a long, long, long time for each and every element to learn the higher way. So we have to be very patient with ourselves, because at times we may feel very annoyed and frustrated that, oh, again anger, or again guilt or blame or shame, or all these disturbing elements. But this coming and going and coming and going, and this coming back actually to our lower darker parts, this keeps on going for a very, very long time. And that is what mother says, that it takes a very long time that each part of our machinery learns fully the art of, as mother says, there, here. Here mother says, therefore are pride and satisfaction with oneself the worst of all obstacles. Very modestly, we must take advantage of all the minute opportunities. So in day to day life, in our relationships, at work, we have many, many instances of such sort, which are mostly, I would say, if we are working on ourselves, challenging. Like challenges come to face, and it is very good because if they come to face, rather than blaming the other person or the situation for whatever is happening, if we take it on the path, mother says that if we modestly take advantage of the all minute, even the little most minute opportunities offered to knead and purify some of the innumerable elements that are part of our machinery. And it's through those defects in the outer world, like the challenging situation, that I become aware of the defect in my part. That, oh, why did I get triggered again? What was lurking in me? So it is because of the outer situation that I get to know of my own defects that are in the instrument, the instrumental defects. So mother says that if we make use of those opportunities rather than blaming the situation or people, to make these innumerable elements which we have no idea that they are there, it's only when they become to give pain to us that we feel that, oh, something is wrong somewhere. Otherwise we have 32 teeth, or what, how many, I don't know how many we have. We may have less, but if daily we don't bother how many are working properly, how many are not, but when one hurts, then we get aware that, okay, rest of them are working fine, but this one hurts, so this one is needing some fixing, or cleaning, or whatever. So if we use that opportunity of pain and turmoil or whatever challenge that has come to us, to teach these elements, to make them supple, to make them impersonal, कि हर चीज को दिल पे लेने की जरूरत नहीं होती. Everything can need not be linked with an I, me, मेरे साथ ये हो रहा है, मेरे साथ वो हो रहा है. Make them impersonal, to teach them forgetfulness of self, this obsessive focus on oneself. If we can teach not to be totally revolving there, and abnegation, not focusing on oneself, and devotion and kindness and gentleness. And when all these modes of being have become habitual to them, so right now those parts and pieces in me, they are not habituated to this new way of living where they are impersonal. They, every time they want to make something personal, the mind, the feelings, grossly the mind, the feelings, and the body, every time we want to take it on ourselves. उसने मेरे को ऐसा कैसे बोल दिया, मैंने तो उसको ऐसा नहीं बोला था. All these things may circulate in our head. So abhi, we are not used, right now we are not used to, habituated to an impersonal way of living. But mother says that it can be taught. This non-sticky way of feel can be taught, but it takes a long time, and that's why she shares that that is why seems to me that the work must be long and slow even for the best, and that striking conversions cannot be integral. So if one day we suddenly change, and it happens to us that many a times we have, in our life, tragic events which actually change the orientation of the being. It makes us more concentrated, spiritual. We start to look at our own self. They may, mother says that it may radically change the way you look at life. It may put you straight on the path, but it's not enough. That one happening is not enough. It puts us on the path, but then little details that have to be worked upon us, they come in time, they happen in time. So one has to be very perseverant and not annoyed at every happening of the life, that, oh, I read so much, but this is happening with me. Because I read so much, one can say that, oh, now I am aware that this is happening, and I can actually take charge of my life, and this need not happen again. We are all having imperfections. Each, like, if we look at ourselves, we are full of imperfections. So much work is left in us. So then there is empathy for the other beings around, that they also are working on themselves, and it takes time. So there is kindness, gentleness, that mother is talking about. And we also become aware of the fact that when we are too much focused on our own self, it brings us pain, it brings us suffering, and that is how it happens with the other person also. If that person is too much focused, then it brings him pain, her pain. And so wishing well for everyone that maybe not suffer because of this self obsessive focus on oneself. And so anything here, anyone?
Yeah,
Yes, yes,
yeah. Today is one of those days, Monica. So I think it just happened, It was like, it was, I mean, it just sort of, caught me unaware completely. And I was so focused on, um, I don't know if it was the I self. I just felt that there was no clarity in the communication with who I was having the communication, and therefore it led to unnecessary details that one had to go through. And and then obviously I stopped and I said, what is going on, right? It was just so, like you said, so painful, and so painful for my own, like, is this it? I mean, is this what you have come to, right? And you're like, my God, I mean, it left me quite affected today. And I said, you are trying, you are every day, trying to be a little more, okay, little more today, one step, one step, one step, and then it just goes down yeah. So, yeah, this was yeah. So thank you for this. I think this was meant to be today to sort
beautiful.
of.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for
Yeah.
sharing. I think this is prayers are very consoling in nature and reassuring because it doesn't happen in a day. We have to realize so.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. Anything else? Anyone? Okay, so we can maybe then go further. I want to just add on. I was doing some transcriptions on Buddhist texts, and there one thing which comes again and again, which I resonate with a lot, and also it comes in prayers and meditations again and again, is that basic the truth of suffering. They talk about the truth of suffering, that suffering exists, and the cause of suffering, they say, is this grasping at an eye, grasping, thinking of ourselves as this limited separate self, disconnected from the others, and then there is this me, and then there is this outer world, and what is the outer world doing to me, and what happened to me in the past, and what will happen to me in the future, why is that person saying that to me. So when there is this too much me, this belief in this separate self, they say that that begins to give us a lot of all these turmoils, that are cause of our suffering. And because of this grasping at an eye, they say that we have attachment, and then we have anger and hatred and aversion. So all the root cause is this grasping at an eye, which in other words, in Buddhism also, and Sri Aurobindo also uses the word ignorance, that because we are ignorant of who we truly are, and we think of ourselves wrongly, falsely conceive of ourselves to be this little separate self or the ego consciousness, we suffer because of that again and again. And then in the other truth, they also say, so this is truth of suffering, that yes, it exists, it is there, but there is also another truth, which is the truth of cessation of suffering. So they say that if we can truly, completely, irreversibly eliminate this grasping at a separate self, thinking of ourselves to be this little me who was humiliated, who was insulted, who was rejected, who was not appreciated or not loved enough by people around who I love so much, all these kind of things that keep on going in the head. If we can eliminate totally this false sense of I, And it doesn't mean that the annihilation of the life, it just means that we stop believing in this false sense of self, and in our realizations, practical realizations, we know slowly ourselves not to be this separate I. And then of course in like Savitri we have the spiritual realization, cosmic realization, one can go further and further, that we are not this limited separate self that we think we are. So they say that it is possible to put an end to it, so that, and we then through our own suffering, when we suffer because of this I, we realize that, oh my god, thousands of beings are suffering because they are also grasping at this I. Like I suffer when I am so focused on myself, billions of beings suffer because they also go through the same process. So through our pain we get to know the pain of the collective humankind. So it is a beautiful thing when we, as Nandini was sharing her experience, when we, through our experiences, which are very challenging, at times very tumultuous, taking it all in on the path and taking it for our realization that this, how I suffer today at this moment, this is the cause of suffering for everyone. And that is why they say that I should work towards my own enlightenment, that I should be separate from my this delusion of this separate self, and therefore work towards the liberation of others also. So this is how the Buddhist people are seeing it, and I feel that it's very practical, and it uses make made use, it kind of makes use of our own turmoils, challenges and suffering. And that is what we see in prayers and meditations also, that these turmoils are part of our life, and through them we get to know what part needs more perfection, more light, and which part is not yet impersonal, still is very very personal, takes everything on its heart. So this is how we all suffer, and this is how we can actually put an end slowly to our suffering and help other beings also around to put an end to that. Because each being wants wellness and happiness. No one would say that I want suffering, give it to me. No one would say that. So yeah. So anything more here?
Yeah, ma'am, it's very surprising to me. In the last 1 week, these lines in Savitri have, like come to my mind 4 times for 4 different things, but they're the same lines. And I'll just share the lines. This is from Canto 3, Book 1. It says, just give me 1 second. Yeah, it says, an old pull of subconscious cords renews. It draws the unwilling spirit from the heights, or a dull gravitation drags us down to the blind driven inertia of our base. So before this, I've listened to Shraddhavanji's commentary, and she's saying how Ashwapati has entered this. He's in the beginning of this heavenly state of consciousness, and this high, this high remains only for a short time, and then the cords, old cords of nature, that they renew their old habit to pull the consciousness down, although the spirit here is unwilling. And it's so important to even to read these lines, because this is what happens every now and then. So in the last 1 week, I see myself 3 days, I'm on this high, I'm very happy, I'm listening, 4 5 days questioning these things. But what helps here is, compared to how it was before, is that now I can go back to these lines, and they are saying that even Ashwapati also had to go through that phase. So I just wanted to share it. That's all.
Yeah,
My share.
Jagan, can you read the lines again once?
Yes, yes, just It's book one, canto three. The line starts with an old pull of subconscious chords renews. It draws the unwilling spirit from the heights, or a dull gravitation drags us down to the blind driven inertia of our base.
Thanks.
And and there are also two more lines, ma'am. I shared this with in one of Taru ma'am session. These lines, and Sri Aurobindo is saying this in a positive way, because the next two lines follow that. This too, the supreme diplomat can use, and he makes our fall a means for a greater rise. So that's really motivating to just see those lines.
Beautiful, yes, exactly. And this tells us that, again, as Sri Aurobindo and Mother talk about integral yoga, that it is not an escape into some kind of a peace, leaving the neither members like they are. So what is pulling us is all these bad habits, of mind, vital, and the body. And it is because they now also have to change, that they keep pulling. That abhi mera nahi hua, I am not totally, fit for the light right now. I don't have a taste for that. So Alokda, in one of his talks, shares an example that it is like a family if they are going walking, taking a walk. Some of us may have heard this, and maybe the father is going ahead because he can walk faster than the kids, and the kids, because they get tired, so they keep stopping on the way. Little kids trying to crawl or whatever, walk in their own way. So the what the father has to do is he has to stop again and again, and maybe make a reverse turn, U-turn, to get the kids also and take them on the path. So this is how Alokda shares of how we have to, like the instrument which is coming out of that base of matter, out of that darkness, the instrument of mind, vital, and the body. The spirit is ready to ascend, but the instrument is not ready. उसको वो taste नहीं है, अच्छा taste नहीं है अभी. So that is how these kind of things will keep happening. And since they keep happening, as you were sharing the last few lines, that they only tell us that अच्छा अभी इसको वो वाला taste पूरा develop नहीं हुआ है. Because that is how we become conscious of our instrument, and the defects of our instrument. And it's not that we have to be very shameful of these defects. It is the very purpose that all of us warriors, as Mother says, were sent here. We willingly, she says, that we jumped into this adventure of darkness to light. अगर किसी की कैपेसिटी नहीं होती तो वो जंप ही क्यों करता? She says that all of the souls, they kind of jumped into this adventure, that because we are ready, because we can do it, let us take this challenge of conversion of darkness to light. So yes, everything can be taken on the path, and all these falls that come from time to time, we need not be ashamed of it, rather making, as Mother says, a use of these minutest opportunities to see the correction to be made and to make that correction and go ahead. So that is how we make, uh, the divine diplomat makes use of that fall, that we further and further and further keep course correction, keep correcting our course. Yeah. Yeah. So something more on this, anyone? So this was about this prayer, and then I just jump on actually to the next one, where again it talks about this relief that comes from self forgetfulness. So we'll read this prayer, November 28, 1913, and take this up for reflection then. If anyone wants to read, please go ahead.
Yeah, Monica, I'll read. November 28, 1913. In this calm concentration, which comes before daybreak, more than at any other moment, my thought rises to Thee, O Lord of our being, in an ardent prayer. Grant that this day, which is about to dawn, may bring to earth and to men a little more of pure light and true peace. May thy manifestation be more complete and thy sweet law more widely recognized. May something higher, nobler, more true be revealed to mankind. May a vaster and deeper love spread abroad so that all painful wounds may be healed. And may this first sunbeam dawning upon the earth be the herald of joy and harmony, a symbol of the glorious splendor hidden in the essence of life. O Divine Master, grant that today may bring to us a completer consecration to Thy will, a more integral gift of ourselves to Thy work, a more total forgetfulness of self, a greater illumination, a purer love. Grant that in a communion growing ever deeper, more constant and entire, we may be united always more and more closely to Thee and become Thy servitor. Remove from us all egoism, root out all petty vanity, greed, and obscurity. May we be all ablaze with Thy divine love. Make us Thy torches in the world. A silent hymn of praise rises from my heart like the white smoke of incense of the perfumes of the East. And in the serenity of a perfect surrender, I bow to Thee in the light of the rising day. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you. So here also, if we have suffered painful wounds and how much pain they bring, I think it's good to suffer because that's how we get to know that how much of people suffer. Because if one is so easy all the time, then I don't relate with the pain of others, how they are suffering. So from time to time, whatever challenges or suffering comes to us, it gives us a taste of the collective. In that sense, I feel that I particularly feel grateful for the wounds and the pain that I personally have got myself, because otherwise I would not know that how much suffering this brings. This is how one can take also one possibility to connect with the collective suffering, because it is a reality. We do suffer as human beings, and we suffer more than animals because they don't have as complicated lives as we can make of our own lives. So then if we have suffered and we don't want that suffering for anyone because it's just too much, then again I personally then can relate, because otherwise one cannot even relate with this prayer. I feel that my pain helps me to relate with this prayer. That grant this day which is about to dawn may bring to the earth and to men a little more of pure light and true peace. May something higher, nobler, more true be revealed to mankind, because when we are so engaged in the petty affairs, as Nandini was sharing कि पता नहीं कहाँ की कहाँ बात पहुँच जाती है और तुम इतनी डिटेल we enter into such detailing, such little arguments we enter where there is no need for us to enter. There is no place, there is nothing going to, we are not going to get anything there, and yet we enter in those arguments and petty details. So Mother says, may something higher, nobler, more true, something towards which we can aspire, more true, be revealed to mankind. The true, say for example, the purpose of human existence. May a vaster and a deeper love spread abroad so that all painful wounds may be healed. I feel that I cannot relate with this prayer if I myself have not suffered due to anything in my life. If I have, then I can maybe relate with this, because it hurts us, it gives us like stabs in the chest at times. So may a vaster and deeper love spread abroad, so that all painful wounds may be healed. And may this first sunbeam dawning upon the earth be the herald of joy and harmony, harmony which we lack in our workplaces, in our mind and being, and also amongst our family at times. A symbol of glorious splendor hidden in the essence of life. So may that something, essence, that splendor hidden, may it totally be able to give out that harmony and joy of which it signifies. And then Mother says that today, let today bring us a more integral gift of ourselves to thy work. So giving ourselves to this work, whether this work is a personal, looking within and changing little by little all these parts of our being, or it may be outer work that we may be doing, because both are connected, interconnected. So may this be able to give a more integral gift of ourselves to thy work, to the divine work, whether it is of human progression, collaboration with the divine, letting go of the ego and progressing further, or whether it is to spread more goodness and harmony and beauty everywhere. So may that come, a more total forgetfulness. So this again, the word that I wanted to bring in picture, total forgetfulness of self, because that is what is the cause of suffering. And if we are suffering, even suffering doesn't mean that I am crying or tortured about something, but it makes us uneasy. And if we look at ourselves and if something is making us uneasy, and if we see how it is circulating in the mind, we will see that at the center is this me. And that is why, and the moment we hata the me, we remove the me from the picture, then we will see that we become easy again. So more total forgetfulness of self, a greater illumination. When we turn ourselves to the divine for support, then it illumines us also as an effect of that. And a purer love. Whenever there is an impersonality, there is a purer love, a love which is not demanding and expecting, a love which is just there as a pure vibration. Just there, not expecting anything from anywhere. So it takes a lot of ragadai, rubbing and chiseling and shaping before we completely become that. This pure love, this vibration of love, which Mother later says that, a silent hymn of praise rises from my heart like that white smoke of incense of the perfumes of the east. So like agarbatti, how it slowly kind of gently rises up. She uses that imagery, that because of that pure love being now revealed to whatever degree, it rises up like a silent hymn of praise. So remove from us all egoism, root out all petty vanity, this want of attention and righteousness, that I am something special. Root out all petty vanity, greed, all kinds of greed we have, and obscurity, this blindness that doesn't make us see clearly. It prevents the total vision. May we be all ablaze with thy divine love. Make us thy torches in the world, which is much, much necessary. So this again, this prayer connects me very beautifully with the Bodhisattva path that we talk about on Heroic Heart. That let me be the lamp in the darkness. Let me be the bridge from darkness to light. So you stop to bother about yourself much now, and you work for the general goodwill and upliftment of people, because now you have known through your own challenges that this is how all of us suffer, and I don't want to make others suffer now anymore. Yeah, so any last reflections, anyone?
Those chants by the Bodhisattva chants, may I be a guard for those who need protection. Those chants, while doing every day, once in a while, this it happens. There's this thought that crosses the mind that asks, says, why? It says, okay, but what is there for you in this? I think, you know, um, I think offering it to the mother really, really helps out, especially while doing the chant. And by this, what I wanted to say is that, you know, in the like this, the lines in Savitri where the chords pull us down, but I think it's really important, especially from my experience, that to have ground at least with one thing that is higher, like doing a prayer or doing anything, just one thing that I can fall back on if everything falls apart. Because that one thing is the last string that is holding on. It's helping me hold on to this, the right path. And yeah, because falling and standing is a constant thing. I see until I can really you know have that concrete ground. But just having that one habit, just one habit, any habit, but one habit that is like this really helps. Yeah.
Yes. Anything more, anyone? Maybe we call it a day today then. And before we end, let's maybe pray in silence uh, in our own being, sharing, dedicating all this merit with the countless number of beings near and far, connecting with their suffering, their pain, and through our own suffering and our own pain, and wishing, praying for everyone that maybe be more impersonal, self forgetful, and turn more and more towards the divine. And as Mother says, may we all be torches of the divine love wherever we are, and wish the same for all the countless number of beings wherever they are. Thank you, everyone.